as a software engineer at Microsoft as well as the educator at Relevel. In this particular video, we will see what actually network is and what are the different criterias and goals to choose your network for different kind of conditions. So let's just start. So before starting with what actually a network is, just think about it. Whenever you buy a new computer, what is the first thing that you are going to do with that computer? You will turn it on. It would ask you for some basic settings that you are going to do for the operating system. And after that, you will make a connection with your router. Basically, you will try to connect it with your internet using the router, either with the Wi-Fi or with your Ethernet cable, right? But you would connect your laptop with the internet, right? Then, if you have the router, you might be connecting that particular router with some other smart devices also. For example, your phone, TV, other laptops, printer, etc. Right? So here, actually what you have done, you have just connected all the different devices to each other via a central access point and you have created your own network. Now you would be like, ma'am, what are you talking here? Like how we have created a network? We have just connected our devices to the router just for accessing the internet. Cool. But what does it mean by network here? So let's just see what actually network is. So in IT terms, a network is defined as the connection of at least two computer systems, either by a cable or a wireless connection. The simplest network is a combination of two computers that can be connected by a cable. So we generally call it as peer-to-peer network. Okay, so there is no hierarchy kind of thing, but there are two participants who are having the equal privilege to share the device's resources such as disk space, applications, peripheral devices like printers and all. Okay, so here from this what you understand that in IT terms, network is just the connection of at least two computers, right? So it can be the connection of two or more devices, but at least two devices should be there to call it a network, right? Now, there are multiple definitions of network. So network is a group of two or more computers or other electronic devices that are interconnected for the purpose of exchanging data and sharing resources. Similarly, you can define a network as it is given in your slides. A network is a set of devices often referred to as nodes. So the devices which are connected in a network, we call them as nodes also. They are connected by communication links. A node can be a computer, printer, or any other device capable of sending or receiving the data generated by other nodes of the network, right? So let me just show you a diagram to make it more clear to you what actually this network looks like and what we are actually calling the network here. So here, this diagram is visible to you. Here a router is there which is connected to different PCs, right? As well as smartphone, PlayStation, printer, etc. Right? So here, this is actually forming a network at your home. So here you can see there are a set of devices which are connected by different media links, and here we are calling these you can see laptops which are connected with Wi-Fi, desktop which is connected here with your router using a Ethernet, printer, PlayStation, smartphone, we call them as nodes. Okay, we call these devices as nodes here. Here, they would basically be sending or receiving some data that is generated by the other nodes of the network. So, these links connecting the devices are often called as your communication channel also. So, this whole thing that you are able to see in the diagram, we call it as a network. Okay. So, I hope this makes clear to you what actually network is. Generally, people confuse the terms network and networking. So, network is an interconnection of devices where networking is the communication between the interconnected devices. Okay, so please get the difference here so that you won't confused between network and networking, right? So now you have seen that okay, this is something we call as network. But now how this particular network works? So the nodes and links are the basic building blocks in computer networking. A network node is maybe your data communication equipment. For example, your modem, hub, switches, or maybe it is a device such like your computer or printer. A link refers to the transmission media connecting two nodes. So link may be physical like cable wires, optical fibers, or maybe the free space such as wireless networks, right? So here there are two things in a network. One is your nodes, another is the links that are connecting the nodes. So when you have connected your devices, then after this, it would start working, and while the data would being transformed or shared, nodes follow a set of rules or protocols that define how to send and receive electronic data via the links. So the computer network architecture defines the design of this physical and logical components. It provides the specification for networks, physical components, functional organization, protocol, procedures, etc. In a computer network architecture would be defining that how all the devices are going to interact in terms of physical as well as logical components, right? Now we have seen that what this network is and how actually it works, but what it would be doing for you and why it was introduced. So the computer networks are first created in late 1950s for the use of military and defense. They were initially used to transmit data over telephone lines and had limited commercial and scientific applications. But with the advent of internet technologies, a computer network has become indispensable of enterprises. So modern day network solutions deliver more than connectivity. They are critical for digital transformation and success of businesses today, right? Underlying network capabilities have become more programmable, automated, and secure. So, as you must be aware about, modern computer networks can operate virtually. So, for example, if you are sitting at this place, maybe you are virtually right now operating some other computer system which is physically placed at maybe in some other country, right? Then you can integrate on a large scale. So modern networking services connect physically distributed computer networks. These services can optimize network function, though automation and monitoring to create one large scale high performance network. And nowadays, your networks respond quickly on changing the conditions. So for example, if on a particular system we are getting like huge number of calls or a huge number of requests, then that traffic can be routed or controlled centrally using some digital interface so that all the requests can be divided among different servers or different computer systems, right? Nowadays, computer network provides you high data security. So all network solutions come with built-in security features like encryption and access control. Third-party solutions like antivirus softwares, firewalls, and anti-malwares can also be integrated in your networks to make it more secure, right? So here, now we have seen that what actually network is, how it is working. That is basically sharing the information between the devices using the links. Then why it was being introduced? So it was introduced initially for defense and scientific purposes, but nowadays it can perform a hell lot of things for you, right? Which couldn't be imagined earlier than internet was introduced. Now the next thing is that when you're using the network or when you are using any network, what should be your criteria to make that network? Let's just see. So here you can see a network must be able to meet some certain criteria such as performance, reliability and scalability. Let's see in detail what actually these criteria are. So here your first criteria is performance. You can measure the performance of a network in many ways, including this transit time and response time. What transit time is? So it is the amount of time required for a message to travel from one device to the another device. Second is your response time. Response time is the elapsed time between an inquiry and a response. Okay. So when you are using a network, its performance can depend upon many factors such as the number of users which are using your network right now or which are connected to your network right now. Then the type of transmission medium you are using in the network. Then the capability of your connected hardwares. your software that you are using, what is the performance of it. It would also define the performance of your network, right? Another criteria for your computer network is reliability. So in addition to accuracy of delivery, network reliability is measured by the frequency of failure, the time it takes a link to recover from a failure, and the network's robustness in catastrophe. What is this catastrophe? So it is basically that your network must be protected from catastrophic events such as fire, earthquake, and theft also. Okay. So all these stuffs would lead to reliability. When your network is highly reliable, only then people would be able to trust on your network and use it, right? Then the next criteria is security. So network security issues including protecting data from unauthorized accesses and viruses. Protection can be accomplished at a number of levels. At the lowest level are user identification codes and password. At a higher level are encryption techniques for the data. Network is accessible from many points. It can be susceptible to computer viruses also. So for that, network security is one of the most important aspect here, right? So in all the ways, whatever data or information is traveling through your network, it must be secured and it can't be leaked, right? That refers to your computer network's another criteria, which is security. So now we have seen that what are the different criterias of your computer network. Now let's just see what should be the goals of your network, right? So some important goals for your computer network would be, one is resource sharing, as many organizations has a substantial number of computers in operations which are located apart. For example, a group of office workers can share a common printer, fax, modem, scanner, etc. Right? So, how they are able to share it? Using that common network. So, one of the most prominent goal is resource sharing of networks. Another goal of your network is high reliability. If there are alternate sources of supply, all files should be replicated on two or more machines. If one of them is not available due to hardware failure, the other copies could be used, right? So it's not that if your one machine is failed, then you are unable to access that file on any other system, right? So there should be copies of all the data so that it can be accessed on some other machines as well. Next is your inter-process communication. So network users located geographically apart may converse in an interactive session through the network. In order to permit this, the network must provide some almost error-free communications, right? Then next should be your flexible access. So one goal can be flexible access of any computer in the network. So the project can be begin on one computer and finished on the other, right? That's why there should be the flexible access of computers in the given network. Now there can be some other goals also depending upon your choice for the network, such as distribution of processing functions, centralized management, allocation of network resources, compatibility of dissimilar equipment and software, good network performance, scalability, saving money, access to remote information, and maybe person to person communication, etc. Right? There can be a lot of goals for your computer network depending upon your case or your situation for which you are just creating this computer network, right? So I hope this is clear to you how different nodes communicate in a network, what are the different criterias of network, and what should be our goals for a computer network, right? Now let's just talk about the advantages of a network. So there are more advantages of a network than the disadvantages. In fact, many companies today wouldn't have existed without accessing some form of network. So some of your advantages of networks are sharing data and information. So one of the biggest advantage of a computer network is sharing data and information between each of the devices on it. In addition, network allows to access your databases and help with the collaboration for more complex works, right? Another advantage is communication. So a network gives all the users the ability of quickly communicate using chat, instant messaging, email, video conferencing, right? Using different features. Then next advantage could be sharing the hardware. So using your networks, hardware devices connected to a network can be shared with all the users, right? So for example, there does exist some network attached storage where you can store a vast amount of information and all the users on the network can access it. Another example can be a network printer allows all network users to print on that particular one printer, and generally in MNCs there are supercomputers and render farms that you can access using a network without having that physical machine in front of you. Even those supercomputers can be accessed by multiple users to perform their complex tasks. So here, multiple people are able to achieve their complex tasks using only one supercomputer with the help of network only. Then another advantage of networking is sharing the software. So with the proper license, software can also be shared. One of the most common and in use example of networking is transferring money. So for example, nowadays you don't generally use cash. You just transfers the money using the network. And you must have heard that none of the companies are giving the cash to their employees. So all the employees just get their pays directly in the bank account. So that is also one of the great examples of networking, right? Now, as every coin have two faces, so as there are some advantages of network, similarly, there are some disadvantages of network also. For example, your virus and malware. So network makes sharing information between network users easy. Unfortunately, this also means that virus and malware have an easier time spreading between computer or a network, right? Another disadvantage can be vulnerabilities. So when a network is created, it introduces new methods of accessing the computer remotely, especially if they are connected on the internet, right? With these potential new methods of accessing the computer, it can introduce new vulnerabilities to computer users and framework and the data on that network, right? Another disadvantage can be complexity. So actually your networks are complex and setting up and managing a network for a business or corporation requires someone with a lot of experiences as well as certifications to manage that complex network, right? So this was all about your networks, what actually network is, what are the criterias of network, how network works, why was network introduced, what are the goals of a network, what are the advantages and disadvantages of a network. I hope this is clear to you. Let's meet in the next video and learn about something new. So thank you, take care.